Welcome to My Favorite CX, a podcast that celebrates exceptional customer experiences. To listen to today's, please choose from one of the following options.
Welcome to My Favorite Customer Experience. I'm Chris Holt here at Holt CX Consultancy in the UK, and today I'm joined by Simon Teague, co-founder and high-performance results coach at New Level Results. Simon, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Chris. I'm really looking forward to this.
And Simon, you provide professional business and executive coaching to leaders and teams aspiring to achieve greatness. Alongside your co-founder, you've developed award-winning coaching software that helps map and track your clients' progress in their coaching relationship. And we know each other because New Level Results are also one of the sponsors of the 6th annual East London Business Expo, which is taking place in 2 days' time on Saturday, the 21st of March at the City Gates Conference Centre in Ilford. Simon, obviously we are talking actually a couple of weeks in advance of that, just peering behind the curtain a little bit there. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you do and also what you're looking forward to at the East London Business Expo?
Yes. So my background actually is in banking and finance, but in 2008, I was made redundant from all of that. And I set up my coaching and mentoring and training company at that point. And since then, I've joined forces with my business partner that you mentioned earlier, and we created New Level Results, which is a coaching organization. I think the interesting thing about that is that when I first met Andrew, my business partner, he's from Yorkshire, so he's a typical Yorkshireman, and we were talking about, how do we make coaching much more interactive, much more experiential, and how do clients know that they're actually getting results when they work with a coach? And so we embarked on this crazy journey to develop this software that we've called The Curve. And it's given me sleepless nights, many challenges. Anybody that's in the world of software will probably know what I mean. But as an entrepreneur and business owner, I didn't expect to also become partly a part software developer in a way, But I suppose with the onset of AI and everything we're facing now, we are really ahead of our game. And, we found a route and a pathway to make coaching much more traceable, really.
I guess from my experience in the customer experience world, metrics are everything. So having something that's measurable makes a big difference to know what impact you're having.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why clients come to us, really, is so that they can sit down with us, see exactly where they are now and exactly where they want to be in 12 months' time. And then we create the equivalent of a sat nav to help them map and track their progress every step of the way until they reach that destination. And when they get there, they know they've got there, and that includes looking back on what's been the investment in the coaching, what's been the impact of the coaching, and what have been the ultimate outcomes and results for the business and the ROI for the business. So that's what's made it quite exciting.
Is that kind of a differentiator for yourself versus, I know there's quite a lot of different established coaching brands out there, for example. Does that give you a differentiator, do you find?
Totally. Yes, there's no one out there that can evidence the ROI in the way that we're doing. And there's no one out there that has a platform that's now starting to pull in AI that can produce impact reports and evaluations of the coaching for the client and insights that support both the client and the coach on that journey.
Interesting. And essentially what we're seeing there by the sounds of it is a parallel to what I see in the customer experience world of, instead of it just being a subjective process, we're putting AI into it to give you a proper kind of analysis of what's going on. And ultimately, your customers are coaches.
Yes, well, part and part, really. I suppose we liken ourselves a little bit to the Uber of coaching. Coaches join us, and we've built an amazing team of coaches. Dave Corbishley is one. He'll be at the event. And we have nearly 50 coaches now all over England and mostly England, but parts of the UK and Europe as well. And so we attract coaches and they work with us, but also obviously we're working with clients, and it's the client that is the most important person in the room. It's their business, it's their workplace. And we work with a whole range of clients. So individuals who want life coaching up to really senior executives of global companies. We're working with a company at the moment with their senior leadership team. They have 42,000 employees, right down to perhaps a startup who's just on their own, working from their bedroom initially, and hopefully might be the next Google or Facebook or who knows. But we invest our time in helping people really change their outlook and change their lives, because they're on the people that we work with are on a trajectory. They want to move up to the next level, really. We all know that businesses don't grow in straight lines, for example, they grow in steps, and every step is a totally different business every time. So it requires a fresh view, a fresh new look at it, fresh planning. And when we can put all of that into the curve, which is the software, then it just helps take everything out of the business owner's mind, put it into a plan, free up their creativity. Because, I mean, even just looking at your background there, I can tell how creative you are, Chris. And we need that creative space. But unfortunately, as business owners, we get a bit clogged up sometimes.
Yeah, we can get stuck in the weeds, and
Yes.
and sometimes not know what's the right thing to focus on. I think
Mhm.
having a variety of coaches and people that you speak with. I used to do some networking for one of those reasons of, if you're doing this on your own, sometimes you need just someone who is in a similar situation to you who can go, yeah, I've been there, I've done that.
Yes. Yeah. And I think, when you decide to take on a coach, you want someone that's going to go shoulder to shoulder with you. You also want someone that understands your world, not someone who just knows the theory or knows a few coaching models. It's much more about walking and working with you and coming and doing it with you, not coming to do it to you. And I think that's the really important differentiation between, say, coaching and training. You can go on a training course and it's pretty much done to you.
Yeah.
You're given all the information, you have to soak it in. But coaching is much more about taking maybe what you've learned and then working with it and working with you on it.
And you
That
mentioned
old,
earlier, oh, go ahead.
sorry, it's that old cliche, isn't it, of spending time working on yourself and on your business rather than in the business. The impact that can have is phenomenal.
Yeah, one of my mentors a few years back, who's the first person to introduce me to that phrase of working on the business instead of in your business. I have no idea what you mean. I was a bit younger, a bit more, I was just used to doing my job at the time. He's like, yeah,
Sure.
it's where you take a bit of time away from doing the day to day and you start looking at where do you want to be, what do you need to work on. And for small business owners, especially, a lot of that time is, probably something that I didn't appreciate until I started doing it is there's an iceberg of, you've got the iceberg on top of the water, which is your general work, and then you've got underneath the water, you've got admin and all of the other stuff of running all of this. Um, and it's getting to understand that and working out. And I think to your point about the creativity, a lot of what I do, I'm at my best when I've carved out a bit of time to play and to mess around with technology. So we've got the East London Expo in a couple of days, and yesterday I woke up and decided I'm going to build a bot for that. And
Oh,
it came
nice.
from the one of the planning calls we had with Anthony and the organizing team. He's like, "Oh, you need a way of capturing people's data." And I set myself a reminder because he's like, "Don't use paper." And I was like, "Oh, I'll just set myself a reminder in a couple of weeks' time, create a Microsoft form." And then I was like, "Well, I need to show people the technology I work with." And I was doing some training. I've had a little bit more spare time this last week. And I just woke up yesterday morning and went, I'm just going to build this. I'm going to build a bot based completely around the expo and then use it for data capture as well. And it's like, that is what I can do when I've got the headspace to be creative. And that, if you're freeing leaders up to get that moment for creativity, that's massive for founders and anyone essentially.
Yes, it is absolutely massive. I think it's really underestimated. We even encourage people to come away on retreats, to just come away from the environment that they're in. We'll often meet our clients away from their business rather than getting caught in it. There's too much going on around you that's a huge distraction. But when you can actually come away from the environment that you're in, that's when you can have such a healthy conversation. You almost don't know where it's going to go, but it can really unravel some of the problems that need solving, some of the innovation we need to be thinking about, the future direction of business, what's around the corner, what are our competitors doing. Loads of things start pouring out from that creative space. We even some of our coaches run a thing called net walking. So as opposed to working, we're actually walking. It's amazing when you can just walk with someone side by side and start chatting about your business. So the environment to me is key to unlock creativity.
I need to get myself down to one of those. That sounds like the kind of thing, because one of the things I'm guilty of is I'm like, I can go for a wander in a little bit, and it's like the moment I get away from a desk, the ideas flow because you're not, you can't be on a call. I mean, you could join a Teams call while you walk the dog, but
Yeah.
are you properly present? I know people do walking meetings, but it's like, do you want that or do you want the headspace time? And I think you're right. If you take people out of the environment, like, I mean, I
Mhm.
gave myself a little holiday at the start of the year. I didn't take anything work-wise with me, not even a notebook to jot stuff down. And that was on purpose to kind of give my brain a bit of downtime.
Yeah.
It was also still tempting to take a notebook and start jotting ideas down. But then I know what I'm like. If I then have an idea, I'll be like, what do I now do? What will I need to do? And then you start going, oh, well, I've got the iPad, so I could get to my emails if I want to. And then I'll just send one. And then, so yeah, it's trying to give yourself permission to do that, but at the right time.
It is. And I think the biggest challenge for many of us is just finding that space in our diary and prioritizing it, because it's usually the one thing that gets sacrificed. I know, for example, this week, I'm in that classic scenario. I I tell my clients about this and then find myself doing the very thing, which is I've ruled out whole section just to not do any work, just to think about the business and think about the future and what's happening, because the speed of change and the speed of things that are coming at us at the moment is quite scary, not just in a business sense, but in an economic sense, in a world global sense. Many things going on that change the potential direction that we need to go. And then lands on my desk a tender opportunity, which I'm looking at and thinking, this is right up our street. The opportunity to work with 90 companies in the north of England, and it's like we could really help these guys. And but anyone that's gone into writing tenders, if you don't have a tender writer, we used to. If you know a good tender writer, Chris, by the way, send them in my direction, because I could spend weeks on this.
Yeah.
If I really wanted to. I have to be disciplined, and but it's already taken away that creative space that I put in my diary. So that's the first thing that often gets sacrificed. That time that you say, I'm just going to have a bit of me time, and then something from the business comes along and takes it away.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we, one of my previous companies, we tried to bring in 10% time for training. And I have first pushback of, you want 4 hours a week just on training? You're mad. I'm like, well, it's aspirational. We'll take 5. And the amount of time you'd hear, tell people, block it out in your calendar. Then they'd get to it and be like, oh, well, I just needed to go into Salesforce and update the opportunities I was working on. It's like, but have you done this? I'm like, no, no, no. And it's like you almost wanted to give it unstructured as well.
Yeah.
And then you realize not everyone can cope with having unstructured time, not being told what to go and learn on. So then some people are giving direction to, and I was guilty of it myself. I'd put in time to be working on things, and then, yeah, you get the email that piques your interest or the fire that needs putting out. It's
Yes.
really easy to not spend that time.
Yes. Easily. And one of the biggest distractions I used to have was when my emails used to come in, they used to ping. So you're working on something and it ping, and then you get distracted straight away, and then another one ping. So if anybody's pinging out there, a big
Well,
recommendation from me is turn the
I,
pinger off.
and I'm pretty good for that. I'm pretty notification light nowadays. Like the first thing I do when I get a new PC is like Outlook wants to do this. It's like, no, you're not doing that. I don't want that. Don't need to know that. And all of a sudden, while we've been recording, my iPad has started giving me Teams notifications. It has never done that. So like I'm like, why is this dinging to the point of distraction? But
Yes.
yeah, it's one of those of I don't, every time we go on LinkedIn, would you like notifications? No, thank you. I don't want that. I want to come to you on my terms. And I'm still not good at saying, oh, I'm only going to look at email in the morning or in the afternoon. It's still an always on kind of checking. And I haven't found a way yet to get rid of some of the icons and things. But yeah, I think dealing with notifications, and I've seen it with our children. Yeah, they're young adults now, but the amount of notifications that are coming through to their phones on various different things, it's like that's not easy. That's cognitive load and burnout just from notifications alone sometimes.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's like joining WhatsApp groups. I've learned now that I've got to be very careful about how many WhatsApp groups I join, because before you know it, there's been 100 conversations in the WhatsApp group. You're already way behind. You're never going to catch up on that lot. And then if you're in 5 or 6 or more, it's like, how on earth does anybody keep on top of everything like this? It's the world of communication is it's fascinating, really, because we've enabled ourselves to communicate in many different ways and at many different levels, but the over communication is stifling communication.
Absolutely. This needs to always be on. And I remember again being at a company a while back where I used to get heat because I actually used blockers on my phone to once 6 o'clock came, you couldn't get me.
Yeah,
Um, and,
great
and
move.
like, why can't you get hold of Chris at this time? It's like, well, that's his evening. Well, doesn't know he works for us. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. Now, interestingly, we actually went to there was employee welfare council, and we said, why don't we get this put into our app where you can have hours of operation? And obviously, had a naive engineer and human hat on instead of product owner and selling this product. It's like, why would we want to stop people getting that? But now you fast forward 10 years and Teams, like, I can go put the hours I want to get my notifications. So rather than me having to block it, I can just tell it to go away.
Yes, yes, and that's just brilliant. It is interesting because, like you, I have uh, young adults as children. So my daughter went for this job interview, and she was, preparing for it and doing all the research. And I said to her, good luck with the interview, darling. I hope it goes well. She goes, oh no, you don't need to wish me any luck, Dad. I said, because I'm going to interview them. I
It's a
need to
nice philosophy.
decide. I need to decide whether or not I want to work with that company. I want to understand how flexible are they with holidays and times, and this is Gen Z thinking. It's like I have a life, and work is going to have to fit into my life. Whereas when I first started work, it was no, I need a job for life, and if I get some life, then that's lucky.
Very much so. Very much so. And I think it is it's a change in culture, and one that you're going to see probably more so. I think that's one of the things I've learned as someone running a small business is I can work on my terms.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
You
let's pause for a break there, and when we come back, we'll ask you about one of your favorite customer experiences.
Thank you. That'd be great.
Your call is important to us. Please hold, and you'll be connected to your next favorite customer experience shortly.
Welcome back, folks, to my favorite customer experience. I'm here with Simon Teague from New Level Results. And Simon, we ask everyone that comes on the podcast to tell us about a favorite customer experience. What can you share with us?
Yes. Oh, there's I suspect for everyone there's that one that really sticks out, isn't there? And there certainly is for me. Um, and I might hopefully don't make too many people jealous, but this was when I decided with my partner for us to go on a cruise in the Caribbean. She specifically wanted it to be the Caribbean, so I thought, oh well, that
That's how I
sounds
like it.
nice. Um, and so I did all the research, and someone actually recommended that we go with Holland and America Line. And I've been on a couple of cruises since because I got the cruising bug, right? The challenge with Holland and America Line is it's actually the one to work up to, not the one to start with. um, so subsequent cruises haven't quite matched the experience you get with the Holland and America Line. Oh my goodness. You do actually feel like royalty from the moment that you arrive. The whole kind of, even just the onboarding process, it's like a red carpet up the Gantway. It's when you get in there, and there's a lot of people arriving at the same time, but they very cleverly segue you into different parts of the ship, so your registration is quick and simple. I often get frustrated when I'm going on holiday to a hotel, and you kind of get on the bus at the airport, and then you arrive at the hotel and you've queued to get on the bus. You've queued at the airport, you queued to get on the bus, then you arrive at reception, there's one person on and 50 people wanting to. It's very frustrating when all we want to do is get in the pool, right? But with the Holland and America Line, we were in our room within, I don't know, probably 15 minutes of onboarding. But the most impressive thing was the corridor that we were in. The way they separated it out was that each person who was like a waiter or a cleaner or whoever, they had zones. So they operated in their zones. And so your corridor would have been one zone. So you're met by the person who's going to be cleaning your room, and they already know our names. They're like, "Oh, hello, Mr. Simon." And I'm like, "How do you know my name already?" And apparently they are given the photos of the passports, and they have to learn them before you come on board. And so that's so impressive. And every time we went out and then came back to the room, they would have cleaned the room. So I think they clean the room. They almost feels like they're watching you. And you leave the room and they're right, get in the room and clean it. It doesn't need cleaning. We're going to clean it anyway. And they would do these things with the towels
Yep.
and create different shapes. I know a lot of cruises do that now, but it was just very clever. I think a lot of them were Filipino, and they had particular skills, and it was just amazing. You'd come back and wonder, what are the towels doing when we get into the room? There was one instant in particular that just still blows me away. We dressed up one evening and went to the piano bar. Really nice environment. Now, the good thing about my partner is she and I both have sea legs, right? So it doesn't matter whether it's a raging gale or a calm sea, and just the gentle movement. We're both fine. We enjoy cruising in that sense. We got to the piano bar, so it's cocktails all round, of course. So we started off on these cocktails, and just had a brilliant evening. It was just a great evening. There was a casino in part of it as well, and to be honest, Chris, I don't remember a lot about it now. All I know is the next morning, bear in mind that I'm in a tux. She's in this amazing, stunning dress. The next day, we're by the pool. She's in a bikini, I'm in my shorts. And the same waiter from the piano bar comes up and says, I think it was a pina colada, 2 pina coladas, Mr. Simon. And I'm like, how do you know that? I mean, how do you recognize me without my clothes on, for a start?
I think we've got the quote for the episode there.
It was just absolutely amazing. Everything. I couldn't fault anything. The food was fantastic. There was about 7 different restaurants. And so the fine dining ones you had to book,
Yeah.
in advance. But all the others you could go in at various different times. And it was virtually, there was a whole restaurant. There's like a buffet restaurant that was open 24/7. And the places that we visited as well. And the more important than that, the organization of getting you off ship and onto these little Caribbean islands. And some you would go to the edge of the ship and get on another little boat. What do they call them? I can't, they're little speedboats that take you in. But the whole thing, the organization of everything was just like you were royalty. It would be like you were on the royal yacht, and you'd be expecting, you to be escorted everywhere and given drinks whenever you want drinks and food whenever you want food. And it was just great. Absolutely amazing.
And for those that are listening along, instead of watching video of this, Simon has been beaming from ear to ear for the last 5-10 minutes talking about that experience. And I think what's really interesting there is, you chose a premium brand to go on the cruise with, and that sets a level of expectation because you've paid a pretty penny for it. You're expecting, you paid 5-star, you expect 5-star, but actually what they've done is deliver beyond that expectation. Because
Yes.
it could easily go the other way, where you have high expectations and they're not met, and unfortunately that happens a lot for people. But
Yes.
you had an expectation and it's been surpassed to such a level that subsequent cruises just haven't met that by the sounds of it at all. But it, like, being essentially treated like you're the only guests,
Mm.
essentially is what it sounds like. The staff there, it clearly sounds like there is a good ethic in terms of empowerment to look after your customers, but
Yes.
also it's very well drilled. It's right. We learn who our customers are before time. You see this with high-end restaurants where they'll go and research the customers and what they like and what they're into and things. But understanding your customer, even just so that personal touch, even to the point of making sure the towels are something different.
Yes.
Everything is essentially an art of theatre at that point.
Yes, yes, it is. I think that that's exactly how I would describe it. And you're right with the analogy on restaurants as well. But really in any business, if a customer walks into your business, you want them to be walking out thinking, I'm glad I went there. And even if you're pound shop, there's still, and you're right, we all have expectations. So our expectations heighten and lower. But the key thing about expectations, and an old boss of mine said this to me once, which has stuck with me forever. He said, whenever anyone interacts with your brand, one of 2 things happen. There's no middle line. It's either one or the other. Your brand has either been enhanced or diminished. every time someone touches your brand, walks into your business, goes on to your website, their expectation level, whatever that's at, has either risen even slightly, even by a millimeter, it's risen, it's been enhanced, or it's diminished a little bit, even by a millimeter, and if it keeps diminishing, eventually they'll leave. They'll find someone else, they'll go somewhere else. Obviously it can diminish drastically if something goes wrong, but even if something goes wrong, the way we deal with that as a complaint, and there is research that shows people who complain and feel like it's been dealt with really well go on to buy 10 times more from you, because they've now the trust element, what was broken has been fixed, and now they really trust you.
I
So
think that
that's key.
it's a key point, and I didn't expect myself to be mentioning The Apprentice on this, but I was watching last night's Apprentice episode, and I think it's the first time I've seen someone show accountability in the years I've been watching it. And they got something wrong on one of the tasks, and the project manager just went out in front of the customer and went, "I'm sorry, I take responsibility. We didn't do the things we needed to, and you had a bad experience, and I'm sorry for that." And actually seeing that on something like The Apprentice, seeing someone actually show humility and accountability is
Mhm.
unheard of. But actually, you're right. Things go wrong. Things always go wrong. Trying to pretend they don't go wrong, there's no point. But it's
Yeah,
how you respond to them. And if you
that's
make good, to your point, people are often more loyal.
yes, absolutely. It's interesting because I've also been watching. I've been watching a mini series on Netflix. I think it's called something like "Living with Gordon" or something like that. But it's about Gordon Ramsay, and he's not my number one person, but Kitchen Nightmares and all that is quite interesting to watch from a coach
Yeah.
perspective, because he's not coaching them, that's for sure.
No, he's terrorizing them.
He's terrorizing them. But there's this year where this film crew have been with him as he builds up to opening the his biggest, most ambitious project, which is the restaurant at 21 Bishopsgate. Is it 21? I'm not sure, but it's the tallest building in London, operating a restaurant, actually 5 restaurants from the top there. And it's really interesting how passionate he is about the customer. It's all about the customer experience, and it comes across in everything he does, everything he says. And I learned a lot just by watching that. I found it quite fascinating, actually. I'm almost tempted to watch it again, because, and it's lovely that this podcast brings out this topic of the customer experience, because none of us have a business without our customers. And, customers, there's quite a few customers that probably are there because they've found you and they just want to stay with you, and they don't necessarily, they're normal everyday customers. But really what most of us want are raving fans. If you've got raving fans instead of customers, now you've got a business that's scalable. It will scale when you've got raving fans. Oh, there you go. Ken Blanchard. Yeah.
Yeah, for those listening, I crouched out of view because when you said raving fans, yeah, the Ken Blanchard book, it's 90, it's about 100, no, 120 pages. He's got a whole series, and there's another one on my shelf I need to read. But yeah, they're a little bit hokey, but they have a good point to them. And yeah, I think turning people from either detractors into just being moderately happy, or just not complaining, but also turning those that are those 7 out of 10s into the 10 out of 10 customers is massive, because they're your champions.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, Simon, you're going to be on site at the East London Business Expo in a couple of weeks?
Yes, I believe that Anthony's asked me to run a workshop, which I'm looking forward to, which will be focusing on, how do we scale our businesses? And I'll be there for the whole day, which is great. And we've got an exhibition stand and a small team with me as well. So it'll be nice to, mix. I've been along to a couple of the chamber events now. It's such a vibrant chamber. It's amazing. I'm not from the Ilford area. I'm based down in Kent, so I've done quite a bit with the Kent chamber. But when I walked into Redbridge and we had that event with Anthony cajoling everybody and giving everybody like, you've got a minute, come up and tell us about your business in 1 minute. I mean, it's quite terrifying for some people, but people got up there and they did it. And it was really good, really, I think energetic, and you can tell there's a community of people there that want to work together to support each other and grow. There's a lot to be said for collaboration in business. So I'm looking forward to being in that environment again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting there. I've not been able to so far with travel, so looking forward to that in about April time, I think. But where can people find more about yourself or New Level Results?
Yes, so simply our website is newlevelresults.co.uk. We're on LinkedIn and Instagram, but the website is probably the best place to start.
Wonderful. Well, we'll put those links in the show notes. Simon, thank you very much for joining us on My Favorite Customer Experience.
It's been a real pleasure, Chris. Thanks very much.
And thanks for listening, folks, and tuning in. We'll be back with you in a couple of weeks' time. If you are listening to this as it comes out on the 19th or 20th of March, we are going to be in person in Ilford, just in East London, or West Essex, depending on where you draw yourself on the map, at the City Gates Conference Centre for the East London Business Expo. So it'll be lovely to see you there on the 21st. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to My Favorite CX. Your listenership is important to us. On your keypad, please press a number between 1 and 5 to rank how much you've enjoyed your experience.